She was 28 years old when the cage closed. And what's inside that cage is so horrifying. Death row inmates have said they'd rather face execution. Perryville Prison has been called one of Arizona's most troubled correctional facilities. A place where extreme heat becomes a weapon, where medical neglect is systematic, and where women are forgotten. And Jodi Arias has been trapped inside for over 11 years. Life without parole for a murder so brutal, it shocked the nation. But inside Perryville, something worse than execution awaits. An 86-square-foot cell in the Arizona desert. Temperatures that reach 111 degrees inside. Medical care is so inadequate that healthy women develop life-threatening illnesses. What Jodi Arias faces isn't just punishment. It's psychological torture that compounds every single day. A slow mental erosion that strips away everything that makes you human. And unlike death, there's no release, no ending, only time. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why long-term incarceration in a facility like this is considered worse than execution. She'll spend the rest of her life in prison without the possibility of parole. Because just hours after she arrived at Perryville, the nightmare began. To understand Jodi Arias' current reality, we need to go back to June 4, 2008. A scorching summer day in Mesa, Arizona. Jodi was 27 years old, driving from California to see her ex-boyfriend, Travis Alexander, one last time. She had rented a car. She had dyed her hair from blonde to brown. She claimed it was for a romantic reunion. But Travis Alexander, a 30-year-old motivational speaker and devout Mormon, had moved on. He was planning a trip to Cancun with another woman. He had warned friends, "Don't be surprised if you find me dead one day." That afternoon, Jodi and Travis took intimate photographs together. Then Travis went to take a shower around 5:30 p.m. What happened next remains one of the most disturbing and heavily documented crimes in Arizona's history. Investigators later discovered that Travis had suffered multiple severe injuries during a violent struggle inside the bathroom. The scene showed clear evidence of a prolonged attack and signs that he fought desperately for his life. Forensic teams recovered blood evidence throughout the hallway, along with a crucial palm print that contained DNA from both Travis and Jodi. According to police reports, an attempt was made to clean parts of the area, and a camera with time-stamped images from that day was found in the washing machine. These details became key pieces of evidence that shaped the entire case. 5 days later, Travis's friends found his decomposing body in the shower. When police questioned Jodi, her story changed 3 times. First, she claimed she hadn't been in Mesa at all. Then, when investigators recovered the camera with time-stamped photos of her at the crime scene, she said 2 masked intruders had killed Travis. Finally, 2 years later, she admitted she killed him but claimed self-defense. Investigators didn't believe it. The crime scene told a different story. This was rage. This was overkill. This was a premeditated murder. January 2013. The trial became a media sensation, broadcast live on national television. Jodi took the stand for 18 days, the longest testimony in Arizona history. She described an abusive relationship. Prosecutors painted a different picture. They showed text messages where Jodi begged Travis to take her back. They revealed she had hacked his Facebook, slashed his tires, and stalked the women he dated. She would sneak into his house through a doggy door. The evidence was overwhelming. May 8, 2013, the verdict came down, guilty of first-degree murder. But 2 separate juries deadlocked on whether to impose death or life. On April 13, 2015, Judge Sherry Stevens delivered the final sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. For comparison, Arizona has executed 37 inmates since 1992. Death penalty cases typically take 10 to 20 years of appeals, then a relatively quick execution. Jodi Arias, now 44 years old, has been in custody since 2008. She will never be released. She will die behind bars. But unlike death row inmates who have an ending, she faces something worse. And she was sent to a place that would make that punishment infinitely worse. Perryville Correctional Institution in Goodyear, Arizona is not an ordinary prison. It's the largest women's prison in the United States, housing approximately 4,400 women, and it has earned a reputation as one of the most dangerous and troubled correctional facilities in America. The complex sits in the Arizona desert, 30 miles west of Phoenix. In summer, outdoor temperatures regularly exceed 115 degrees. Inside the prison, where many units lack adequate air conditioning, temperatures have been recorded at 111 degrees. Jodi Arias is housed in the San Carlos unit. She spends her days and nights confined to an 86-square-foot cell. That's roughly 8 feet by 11 feet, smaller than most people's bathrooms. Her daily routine is regimented and monotonous. Wake up at 5 a.m. count. Breakfast. Work assignment. Count. Lunch. Count. Dinner. Count. Lockdown by 9 p.m. Every day is the same. The same concrete walls, the same metal fixtures, the same narrow routine. But staying out of trouble at Perryville doesn't guarantee safety or basic human dignity. The heat crisis. In July 2023, during a week when Phoenix experienced 7 consecutive days above 115 degrees, temperature logs revealed that cells reached between 96 and 111 degrees. Many units rely on swamp coolers that blow hot air when humidity is high and break down frequently. Former inmates described their cells as hot boxes. Relief is nearly impossible. The heat inside is stifling, like being locked in an attic during summer with no escape. An inmate named Marsha Powell died in May 2009 after being left in an outdoor holding cage for 4 hours in 107-degree temperatures. Her core body temperature reached 108 degrees. She had first and second-degree burns. During extreme heat, the prison claims to provide ice to inmates. But according to families, the ice is often melted by the time it reaches cells. When temperatures don't exceed 85 degrees inside, ice costs money from commissary accounts. Medical neglect. The medical care at Perryville has been documented as severely inadequate. One inmate submitted 37 health need requests over 8 months for severe ear pain. Her provider refused referral to a specialist, calling it too expensive. She later developed a life-threatening illness that could have been prevented. Another inmate experienced serious chest pain and trouble breathing. She was told to wait. Former inmates report that healthy women enter Perryville and leave with chronic conditions because basic medical needs are ignored. The food crisis. In 2019, a salmonella outbreak swept through Perryville. Investigations revealed contaminated food provided by the private contractor, Trinity Services Group. Kitchen workers reported finding packaging that stated, "Not for human consumption. It may cause cancer, birth defects." When they reported it, they were told to cut off the bad parts and keep serving it. The main complex kitchen has had a mice infestation for years. Due to lack of hot water, food trays are never cleaned properly. Trinity Services Group, owned by private equity, profits enormously while inmates suffer. Dignity violations. Until 2021, women at Perryville did not have unlimited access to feminine hygiene products. They had to request them, often waiting days while bleeding through their clothes. In 2024, privacy curtains that separated male guards' sightlines from women showering were suddenly removed. Mental health counselors reported emergency sessions with traumatized women being watched while naked. According to Arizona Department of Correction statistics, 86% of female inmates have been subjected to sexual or physical abuse in their lives. An 82% mental illness rate has been documented among women at Perryville. This brings us to the central question. Why is Jodi Arias's prison life considered worse than death? It comes down to 3 factors: time, control, and psychological erosion. Time, the endless sentence. Jodi was 28 when sentenced. She's now 44 years old. She has spent over a decade behind those walls. She will never be released. By current life expectancy, she could live another 40 years in that 86-square-foot cell. Every day is the same and it repeats for 40 years. Think about what you were doing 10 years ago. Now imagine doing the same thing in the same room with the same people for the next 40 years. Death row inmates have something Jodi doesn't. They have an ending. Even if it takes 20 years, there's a final day. There's closure. There's a release. Jodi has no release, only time. Only endless, unchanging, deeply psychological time. Control, the complete loss of autonomy. Jodi has no control over when she wakes up, when she eats, when she showers, when she works, or when she sleeps. She cannot choose her cellmate. She cannot choose her job. She cannot step outside whenever she wants. Every aspect of her existence is dictated by someone else. When it's 111 degrees in her cell, she cannot leave. When the food is contaminated, she must eat it or go hungry. When medical care is denied, she has no recourse. When privacy curtains are removed, she has no say. Former prison minister Keith Rovier said the psychological weight of such conditions breaks people in ways difficult to understand from the outside. The constant vigilance required to survive, the inability to ever fully relax, the erosion of hope, psychological erosion, the slow destruction of self. Perhaps most devastating is what happens to the mind over years of this existence. Jodi has been a high-profile inmate since day one. She receives death threats from inside and outside the prison. She has reportedly been threatened by other inmates who see her as a monster. She spends much of her time in isolation for her own safety. This means even less human contact, even less stimulation, even more sameness. The isolation from loved ones. The loss of connection to the outside world. The way time begins to lose meaning. The slow realization that life is passing by. Those opportunities are vanishing. That the world is moving on without you. And unlike death, there's no escape. No final moment. No release. Only endless days in a hot concrete box in the Arizona desert. Watching your life disappear one day at a time. Since arriving at Perryville in 2013, Jodi has attempted to create a life within the cage. According to her prison file, she has had only one disciplinary infraction. In February 2016, she was denied a haircut by a particular barber and called the corrections official an offensive term. For a woman serving life without parole, one minor infraction in over a decade is relatively clean. She has worked various jobs paying between 10 cents and 50 cents per hour. That money goes into commissary accounts to purchase basic necessities that should be provided: decent food, hygiene products, medications, ice. Despite being locked inside, Jodi has maintained connection to the outside world. She has a Twitter account run by supporters posting updates. She has a website selling original artwork, pieces ranging from $28 to $39. She has started a blog on Substack. Her appeal was denied in March 2020, but she continues to raise money for legal fees and has indicated she's not done fighting. Even behind bars, Jodi remains controversial. Critics argue she's profiting from notoriety. Travis Alexander's family believes it's wrong, that she's continuing to manipulate the system and refuse accountability. Perhaps most bizarre, Jodi reportedly receives marriage proposals from men on a weekly basis. She has allegedly corresponded with multiple men who have become infatuated with her story. There's a psychological phenomenon called hybristophilia, where people are attracted to those who have committed violent crimes. Jodi Arias' story reveals something larger about the American criminal justice system. The death penalty has an endpoint. An execution typically takes 10 to 20 years of appeals. Then it's over. But life without parole is different. It's a slow death. It's watching someone age and deteriorate in a cage for decades. At Perryville, that means cells that reach 111 degrees in summer, food marked not for human consumption. Medical care so inadequate that treatable conditions become life-threatening, privacy violations that re-traumatize women, and no meaningful rehabilitation. For what purpose? Critics counter that Jodi showed Travis no mercy. She stabbed him 27 times. She slashed his throat. She shot him in the head. He suffered unimaginably. Why should she be comfortable? But the question isn't really about Jodi Arias. It's about what kind of society we want to be. Jodi is the most famous inmate at Perryville, but she's one of 4,400 women locked inside. Most are not violent offenders. Many are incarcerated for drug offenses, theft, or parole violations. Most come from backgrounds of poverty, abuse, addiction, and trauma. What are we doing to them during their incarceration? Are we rehabilitating them? Or are we simply warehousing them in deteriorating conditions, exposing them to extreme heat, medical neglect, contaminated food, then releasing them back into communities more damaged than when they entered? The privatization of prison services adds another troubling layer. Trinity Services Group profits enormously from contracts with Arizona prisons. If the prison food is inadequate, inmates purchase overpriced food from the commissary. If basic necessities aren't provided, inmates buy them from the commissary. The worse the conditions, the more money the private contractor makes. So why is Jodi Arias's prison life worse than death? Because death is final. It's an ending, a release. What Jodi faces is not an ending. It's an endless loop of sameness. Wake up in an 86 square foot cell where summer temperatures reach 111 degrees. Count. Eat contaminated food. Work for pennies. Navigate an environment where medical care is systematically denied. Return to your cell where you have no control, no autonomy, no moment of genuine peace. Watch years disappear with no meaningful rehabilitation, no path forward. Repeat for 40 years. Every day that passes takes her further from who she was and closer to someone unrecognizable. The isolation compounds, the heat compounds, the monotony compounds. The psychological erosion never stops. And through it all, the ghost of Travis Alexander. The knowledge that she took his life in the most brutal way imaginable. The accusations from his family. The hatred from the public. The belief that somehow, no matter how terrible the conditions, this punishment is deserved. This is her forever. Death row inmates have execution dates. They have endings. Jodi Arias has no such mercy. She has only time. Silent, unchanging, and deeply psychological. No escape, only time. Jodi Arias is 44 years old. She will die at Perryville, likely in her 70s or 80s, having spent more than half a century in that cage. Travis Alexander would be 47 years old now. He never got to turn 31. What do you think? Is Jodi Arias' sentence justice or something far darker? Does her daily existence at Perryville constitute a fate worse than death? Or is this exactly what someone who committed such a brutal murder deserves? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video compelling, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime cases that reveal the complexities of our justice system. Until next time, reminding you that behind every headline, there's a human story far more complicated than it first appears.